Once you understand Plato's cave, there's no going back. Bye. Senid. Hey, bro, don't chill on me, bro. I don't know how to say your name. Chill on me, okay? Let's get into the video, bro. There are two ways to be deceived. One is to believe what is not true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true.
Maybe you felt it already. That weird moment where
Oh,
something you used to
this AI slop.
believe in stops feeling real. Not false exactly, just thin, like cardboard, like a movie set you can suddenly see behind. One day you're fine, you're living your normal life, scrolling, working, chasing something you were told would matter. And then, quietly, your mind goes, wait, is this all? And once that question lands, it doesn't leave politely. It moves in. It starts rearranging the furniture. Plato's cave starts right there, not in some ancient classroom, in your everyday life, in the part of you that's been fine for years and suddenly isn't. The story is simple, almost too simple, which is why it's dangerous. A group of people are chained from birth inside a cave. They can't turn around. They can't look anywhere else. All they see is a wall in front of them. Behind them, there's a fire, and between the fire and their backs, people carry objects, figures of animals, plants, things. So those objects cast shadows onto the wall. The prisoners watch the shadows their whole lives and call that reality. They name them, they argue about them, they build a whole worldview out of them. And honestly, why wouldn't they? It's the only thing they've ever known. So here's the uncomfortable part. The cave isn't society out there. The cave is whatever you've accepted without questioning. It's the stories you inherited, the definitions you never agreed to but somehow live by. Success, failure, worth, normal, even love sometimes. And there's this line from Kierkegaard that hits like a cold splash of water. There are two ways to be fooled, believing what isn't true and refusing to believe what is true. Most people think the first one is the danger. The second one is worse, because you can't argue with it. You can't wake someone who's clinging to sleep like it's a blanket. People call ignorance bliss, but bliss is only bliss when you don't know you're missing something. Once you notice the wall is a wall, it's over. That's why the title is real. Once you understand Plato's cave, there's no going back. Not because you become better than anyone. No, because you can't unsee what you've seen. A mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. You don't get to shrink yourself again without pain. And if you're already feeling that pain, good. Not good like happy good. Good like you're waking up. Here's what nobody tells you about waking up. It's not comforting. It's not a spa day. It's not angel music. It's disorienting. It's like walking out of a dark cinema into noon sunlight and realizing your eyes have to relearn how to see. In Plato's cave, one prisoner gets unchained. Suddenly he's forced to stand, to turn, to look at the fire, and even that part hurts, because the fire is brighter than the shadows. Imagine realizing the thing you thought was reality was just a flickering imitation, and now you're staring at the mechanism that made the imitation. Then he's...
This correlation, I'm gonna give correlation to it the best way I can explain it to y'all. It's like when you get put onto some game. So imagine you're a regular schmegular dude and you wanna get into film. You wanna get into film, or you wanna get into, I don't know, any type of industry. From when you go from the consumer of that that industry, to actually being in the industry or being a top mogul of the industry, that is the allegory of the cave. That is Plato's cave in action. You go from being the consumer, being the one that is shown whatever is being projected from, you know, from the industry, to actually seeing the ins and outs of the industry, seeing what's going on in the industry, seeing what's, you see what I'm saying, being put on game. So like, for example, streaming. When you're a consumer of a streamer, you don't really see the tactics in what they do to like get it out to people, what they do to gain a bigger fan base, what they do to, you know what I mean? You only really see the streamer. You only see that, oh, the streamer posts on TikTok, or the streamer does this, they do that, and you know, they're just getting bigger, they're growing. But once you become a streamer, or once you get put on game to what they do as streamers, then you see like the ins and outs. You see the whole mechanism on how it works. Even deeper, there's even deeper game that goes into it. So it's not even just how they do it or how they gain a fan base, but how are they grabbing your attention as the consumer, or as the person that's watching their content. That's the game that gets played on the consumer a lot. And, you know, obviously the consumer is the person that's, you know, staring at the imitations with the shackles on. And the person that, you know, chooses to take off the shackles, walk up, is the person who, you know, is being put on game. But this is the best example I can give. It's basically you getting put on game to these things. Once you see the game being played, you really can't unsee it. It really takes you to then become a wise fool to be able to indulge in the game, even though you can see it. I was gonna give another example. But I'm like, oh, nihilism. There we go. Nihilism is another form of like Plato's cave. You have, you know, the part where you're the prisoner, basically. You're the prisoner watching the imitations, and that aspect is when people are chasing for material value. People are trying to chase for a goal, or chase for, you know, they're just blindly chasing, you know, pointless shit. They're just chasing goals, and they're going for passions and aspirations blindly without understanding their purpose, or without understanding why they're chasing it. They're just blindly chasing it because, you know, it's something that they seen on, you know, the internet, or, you know, they probably see that, it is basically off what they see. They're being influenced to go for their aspiration and their dreams. But then once they actually do the inner work and they start actually tapping into their purpose, then they're rising up, they're climbing up the stairs, they see behind the illusions, they see all behind all that shit, and finally when they get out of the cave, they realize, oh shit, none of this shit really matters. None of this shit matters. All of this shit is pointless. All of this shit is meaningless. And that's where nihilism hits. But then what cancels out that nihilism is realizing that you are the creator of this meaningless world. You create the meaning to this meaningless life, I guess you could say. Once you put meaning to something, that's when it becomes meaningful, basically. That's you basically going back to the cave and choosing to kind of integrate yourself again with the illusion. It's not saying that you want to be a part of the illusion, but it's saying that you see through the illusion and you're willing to integrate yourself. You see the beauty of the illusion. You're willing to, you know, indulge yourself in the illusion still. That was the best way I can explain it. If you feel what I mean, you get what I mean. But you did what I'm trying to say, bro.
Dragged outside, not gently, dragged. And the first thing he feels isn't enlightenment, it's pain. His eyes burn, he's confused. He misses the cave, which sounds crazy until you realize the cave was predictable. The shadows were familiar. Familiar can feel like safety, even when it's a cage. So the moment you start questioning your old life, don't be surprised if part of you wants to run back. Don't shame yourself for it either. The nervous system loves familiar patterns, even painful ones, especially painful ones you've learned to survive. Plato uses that progression for a reason. First, the freed prisoner can only handle reflections in water. Then he can look at objects directly. Then he can look at the sky. And only after time, after adjustment, can he look at the sun, the source of light itself. In Plato's language, that's not just sun, that's truth. That's the form of the good, the deepest reality behind reality. So the journey isn't just learn new information, it's transformation. Your perception changes, your identity changes, what you want changes, what you're willing to tolerate changes. And yes, people around you might not like that. Socrates said, "The unexamined life isn't worth living." People quote it like a motivational poster. But in real life, an examined life can be lonely for a while. Because the moment you start seeing the shadows as shadows, you stop playing certain games. You stop chasing certain things just because everyone else claps for them. Fame can start looking like a mirage. A perfect partner can start looking like a projection. A prestigious profession can start looking like a costume someone handed you when you were too young to say no. None of this means those things are evil. It just means you're finally asking, is this real for me, or am I just repeating a script? And that question, once it becomes honest, changes everything. That's your first step out of the cave. Not a dramatic breakthrough, just honesty. The kind of honesty that makes you swallow hard and look away for a second because it's too real. And then you look back anyway. Now comes the part nobody wants, but everyone meets, the return. Because eventually you try to bring what you've learned back into your old world. You talk differently. You move differently. You can't pretend as well. Sometimes you try to explain to people you love what you've realized, and you think you're being helpful. And somehow, it goes badly. You expected relief. You expected, yes, you're right. What you get is defensive jokes, irritation, dismissal, maybe even anger. And you're standing there like, wait, why are you mad? I'm trying to free you. Plato predicted this perfectly. When the freed prisoner returns to the cave, his eyes can't adjust to the darkness anymore. He can't see the shadows clearly. The prisoners watch him struggle and say basically, see, leaving ruined him. He's blinded. He's stupid now. And in Plato's story, if they could get their hands on him, they'd kill him for trying to unchain them. Harsh, right? But then you remember what happened to Socrates, Plato's teacher, condemned to death for questioning the norms of his society. Same pattern. Society often doesn't punish ignorance. Society punishes disruption. And if you zoom out, you see this pattern everywhere, like it's stitched into the human story. Prometheus, a titan whose name means forethought. He sees humans struggling in the dark and steals fire from the gods to give to them. Fire in that myth isn't just warmth. Fire is knowledge. Fire is civilization. Fire is the spark that turns helplessness into creativity. And what happens to Prometheus? He's chained to a rock and tortured daily, not because he harmed humans, because he changed the balance of power. He brought people light. See the connection? The freed prisoner and Prometheus are the same archetype wearing different clothes. The one who goes up, sees more, then comes back holding something that changes everything. And here's what's heartbreaking. The people still chained usually don't say thank you, because the cave doesn't feel like a prison to them. It feels like reality. And any attempt to pull them out feels like violence, like you're trying to take away their world, which in a way, you are. So patience matters, empathy matters. Some people aren't ready to leave the cave, not yet. For them, the shadow still feels safer than the sun. And honestly, you can't force someone to see. You can't drag someone into truth like you're dragging a couch up a staircase.
And that's ego. That's the problem. That's a problem I had before. That was an ongoing problem. Like not even just once, but it was like multiple times where I'd get really like upset and irritated. Where I'm just like, bro, like why the fuck are people so fucking ignorant? But then I came to a finalized understanding where I'm like, you know, it's not meant for everybody to see through this shit. And it's really not everybody's time. Honestly, if people are called to leave the cave, then it's called for them to leave the cave. If people are not called for them, if it's not called for them to leave the cave, then they will stay in the cave. It's not for you to then try to pull them or try to force them or try to go on a fucking adventure to pull them out of the cave. No, it's to be honest, if you want to, you can give them the seed. Give them the seed to be able to choose to plant later on if they want to or not. But it's not your job to, you know, force any knowledge upon a person. It is their job to go out and seek it. It's their job to leave the cave. Once you start trying to force somebody to obtain some knowledge, or you force somebody to, or you guilt trip, or you do any type of weird shit to try to force somebody into gaining some knowledge, that's not their problem. That's a you problem. That's a you problem because it's coming directly from your ego. Your ego feels that you're somewhere better than a person because you have this knowledge, and you feel like you have to have some type of superiority over them to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all an egoic thing when you try to force people into this type of knowledge. And it's egoic because you're trying to get more people onto your type of the way that you think, so then you can kind of validate it, so then the brain can kind of validate it, when you should just be okay with the knowledge that you have. Not be okay, but have conviction in the knowledge that you have, and be okay with, you know what I'm saying, whether people believe it or whether they don't believe it. Nigga, you still know what you know, and that's that. Like, you don't care if you give it out or if you don't. You don't care if you give the seed to somebody or if you don't. You got the knowledge. You understand what you understand. And if somebody don't want to understand it, somebody don't want to learn it, hey, it's out of your hands from there. That's what I'm building my channel off of. I don't want all types of people up in this motherfucker, because I understand that not everybody wants to leave the cave. But for the people who have already took the seed, want to grow the seed, want to leave the cave, and see the game that's being played on them, that's the beacon. My channel or my account is like a beacon for people to kind of see through that shit. You see what I'm saying? To lead them through that shit, to guide them through that shit. But other than that, I'm not here to be nobody's teacher. I'm not here to be nobody's preacher. I'm not here to force people to, do something that they don't want to do. No. It's simple as this. Do you want the seed? Do you want the knowledge? Yes or no? If you don't, hey, go on to the next person who wants it. Or, whoever wants it, they'll attract to me. But other than that, it really isn't that deep it's not that deep to get people into this knowledge, bro. It's really not. Like, if people don't want to get onto it, it is what it is. Allow them to be them.
Live differently. Speak gently. Keep your heart open. And understand the strange truth Kierkegaard pointed to. Refusing to believe what's true is one of the deepest forms of being fooled. Not because people are stupid, because fear is persuasive. Fear whispers, stay where you know the rules.
Ignorance, I don't see ignorance. Like, the way I think nowadays, I don't see ignorance or being a fool as something as like you being stupid. I don't see it as that at all. Like, the best example I can give is like Forrest Gump. Like, he was a fucking fool, but he amounted to so much from being a fool. You see this nowadays with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are fools. They have not left the cave, but they amount to so much. Now, eventually, depending on the fool, they not put on game. Let's say if they reach the level of fame and fortune, they end up losing it all and blowing the fortune on bullshit, because they didn't get put on game at all. They didn't get, leave the cave at all. So it's one of those things. But I don't see ignorance or being a fool as stupid. I just see it as, again, you being ignorant. You don't know. You don't know better. So how can you ever do better if you don't know better? You see what I'm saying?
Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Myths, religions, novels, movies, even the quiet turning points in your own life that didn't look heroic at the time. Campbell mapped this pattern into 3 stages: departure, initiation, and return. Leave the familiar world, face trials and revelations, come back changed, carrying something for others. Plato's cave fits it perfectly. Prometheus fits it perfectly. And here's the thing. Your life fits it more than you realize. Departure doesn't always look like quitting your job and moving to a mountain. Sometimes departure is internal. It's the moment you stop lying to yourself. It's when you admit, I'm not okay living like this. Or, I don't believe what everyone believes. Or even, I've been performing my life instead of living it. That's the call to adventure. It's subtle. It's rarely dramatic. It's often inconvenient. And you'll probably try to ignore it at first, because ignoring it lets you keep your old identity intact a little longer. Initiation is the messy middle, the confusion, the discomfort, the part where old beliefs fall apart and new ones haven't fully formed yet. That's the bright sunlight phase. Your eyes hurt, your mind scrambles, and you miss the cave sometimes. People romanticize transformation, but real transformation is awkward. It's like shedding skin. And during this stage, you start seeing how many goals were really just shadows. Society projected them onto the wall. Everyone agreed to clap, and you joined in because you wanted to belong. Again, no shame. Humans are wired.
And or you see your own shadows. Not necessarily like influence wants. When she means shadow, she means like want. So it's not necessarily influenced wants coming from other people, but you see your own personal wants as well. Like, you see how pointless your own personal wants become, and how selfish they are. You know what I mean? Personally, I battled a lot with lust. So a lot of my goals were prioritized through lust. So once I broke down lust for me, that's when I broke down a lot of my wants. And that's when I started wanting less. I realized that I didn't really want much. Like, I'm like, once I free myself from lust, I'm like, damn, I really don't want much. Like, I don't need these things. I don't really want these things. These things don't really hold much purpose or control over me anymore, or influence over me. So it's like you break down when you shed, you're shedding your skin. You're continuously breaking down from the wants, the not the wants, the desires, the so-called needs that you come from, or you want, the desires that are influenced, the influential desires, or the desires that are pushed upon you, and then the desires that you personally want, the ones that come from you, the ones that come from your personality. You kind of break those down, and it's like a sequence.
For belonging. But now you're wired for truth too, and those two don't always hold hands. Return is where your soul gets tested, not because you're meant to be some savior, because you're meant to embody what you've learned. Buddhism tells a version of this. Prince Siddhartha leaves luxury, sees suffering, searches for truth, becomes the Buddha, and then returns to share what he's realized, met with both acceptance and resistance. Confucian thought points to the superior man, who learns and reflects, not for ego, but for the benefit of society. Taoism whispers something softer. Wisdom comes from a deep alignment with nature and the self, a seeing beyond surface noise. Different cultures, same heartbeat. Even modern stories keep retelling it, because it's not just entertainment, it's a mirror. The Matrix is basically Plato's cave in a leather jacket, a world of shadows, a sudden awakening, a painful adjustment to reality. Then the choice, go back to sleep, or live awake and carry the burden of seeing. And that's the real choice in your own life too. Not once, over and over. Every time you catch yourself slipping back into comfort, just because truth feels heavy. Plato's cave isn't a cute metaphor. It's a warning and an invitation. Most lives are lived in obscurity, not because people
And
are evil,
mediocrity.
but because conditioning is strong. Yet it becomes a duty, at some point, to step toward the light, not to escape society, but to stop being ruled by illusions that society collectively validates. Because when everyone agrees on a shadow, the shadow starts getting treated like law, and you, quietly, become someone who no longer worships the wall. Once you understand Plato's cave, you can't unknow it. You can still participate in the world, sure. You can still have goals, relationships, ambitions. But you won't be able to pretend the shadows are the sun. You won't be able to live on autopilot forever. Something in you will keep asking for honesty, and that's not a curse. It's the beginning of freedom. A strange freedom, sometimes heavy, sometimes lonely, but clean. Like fresh air after a long time in a crowded room. Right now, the question isn't whether the cave exists. The question is whether you'll keep calling it home, just because it's familiar. Courage doesn't always look like grand rebellion. Sometimes courage is simply turning your head, facing the fire, taking the first step into light, even while your eyes burn. And if leaving means you outgrow certain people, certain habits, certain scripts, painful as it is, that's part of the path. As Manly Palmer Hall said, the hours may be long and the teacher cruel, but each of us must walk that road, so walk it, not as a performance, not as a trend. Walk it because your soul is tired of shadows. Walk it because you already know, deep down, you were made for sunlight.
Mm-mm-mm. No, I'm surprised. That was a good ass AI slot video, man. That was a I can't call it slot. That was a good AI video, bro. And I thought it was gonna be some bullshit slot video, but it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But the correlation I wanted to make with the Plato's cave and this new AI renaissance that's coming up is the the split basically between the people who want to stay comfortable in this lifestyle of instant gratification and instant dopamine. Basically, you know what I'm saying, getting what they want without having any sort of skill behind it, I guess you could say. Um or having to do not have to do too much to gain enlightenment, or have to, you know what I'm saying, not having to do too much to gain everything or gain a lot. It's going to be a big split between that and you know, obviously a more holistic lifestyle, more wholesome lifestyle. Um Baseline, the prisoners will be the people who are the consumers, the people who want to achieve everything but won't want to do no work, uh the people who want fast results, the people who want, you know, fast dopamine, instant gratification. Those are the type of people that will stay prisoners within the cave and won't grow to the new world. They'll stay stuck in the AI world, in which the AI world will feel amazing because it'll give you everything you want. The AI world will give you everything you want. You won't have to do too much. You won't have to. It'll give you everything you want, everything you need, and it is all at your fingertips. But you'll have the folks that will, you know, leave the cave. That will, you know, what I'm saying, what is the word? That will reject this whole AI renaissance, this whole, you know, this big come up of AI. You'll have people who will reject it and want to live a more holistic lifestyle. They'll stay off their phones more. They'll get outside more. They'll start talking to more people. They'll enjoy, you know, whatever passions they have. You know what I'm saying? They'll start seeking for, you know, delayed gratification, and you know what I'm saying, life will start becoming more slower, more holistic, more whole, more wholesome. You get what I'm trying to say? And you'll see those type of people who will just, they'll exit the cave. Now, depending on if, to be honest, I don't think people will try to come back for the other people, cause, but that's my correlation with the allegory of the cave, and or Plato's cave, and you know, AI, the AI renaissance, or the new renaissance that's coming up. But yeah, bro, I don't know, man. Uh Honestly really do love the Plato's cave, for the reason of, like, it's such a good representation of how to explain change in the world, or change within a person, like genuine change. A person going from ignorance to enlightenment, a person going from, you know, being a victim or a prisoner of the game, to being put on the game and being, obviously, you know, being part of the game, or, you know, understanding the game, you know. So it's really cool to see. I wanted to make a correlation to Spider-Man. You know, obviously Spider-Man is coming. The Spider-Man movie is coming up, and and in the trailer, especially with the theories and shit, I've been putting in like a whole bunch of my mind, since I've gotten like this new found wisdom of, like, you know, esoteric knowledge and shit. I've been putting like pieces together with, like, you know, how they were saying, like, the three spider the life cycles of a spider, and, you know what I'm saying, what Peter's going through and all this. And I'm a either I'm gonna figure out a video to react to be able to dive deep into that, into the whole concept of Spider-Man, and how he's intertwined with the hero's journey, or I'm gonna end up making one. Whatever one, I really want to talk about how Spider-Man is correlated with the Plato's cave and the hero's journey, especially the one in the MCU. The MCU, and, you know, what is it called? Not only the MCU one with Tom Holland, but also Fuck, what is his name? Oh my god, the first Spider-Man, bro. Damn. Oh fuck. I can't believe I forgot his name, but y'all know what I mean. I'm gonna figure out if I can find a reaction video for it, or if not, then I'm gonna make the video. Um, but yeah, I really want to do it because nigga, I love me some Spider Man, my nigga. I love me some Spider Man. I love me some Deadpool. Those like two of my favorite superheroes. Spider Man as a kid, but as I got older, Deadpool started to become my favorite hero, or I don't want to say hero, but favorite Marvel character. I'll say that. Spider Man and Deadpool, two of my favorite Marvel characters. Them niggas is goated. I don't care what nobody say, bro.